The red alert siren wailed through the curved halls of Zeltaran Command Center. Officers with blue-tinted skin rushed to their stations, their four-fingered hands moving quickly across glowing control panels. Senior strategist Vexlor stood tall, his dark eyes fixed on the main screen that showed strange ships moving through the stars. "What do we know about them?" Vexlor asked, his voice steady despite his worry. A young officer looked up from her station. "Nothing, sir. These ships match no known design in our database. Their energy readings are unlike anything we've seen before." Vexlor nodded slowly. In his 50 years serving the Zeltaran Confederacy, he had never faced an unknown fleet of this size. 15 vessels, moving in perfect formation, heading straight for Zeltaran space. "Have they responded to our signals?" he asked. "No, sir, but we have picked up communications between their ships. Our computers are trying to translate now." On the other side of the galaxy map, Council member Shrila entered the command center. Her formal robes swept the floor as she approached Vexlor. "The High Council demands answers, strategist," she said. "Who are these visitors?" Before Vexlor could respond, the young officer called out, "Sir, we have a partial translation of their communications." The room fell silent as a strange voice filled the command center. The language was harsh, with sharp sounds that made the Zeltarans uncomfortable. U.S. Dauntless to Scout Ship 3. Maintain course. First contact protocols in effect. Remember, we represent Earth and all humanity in this. The translation cut off. But it was enough. Vexlor and Shrila looked at each other, their faces showing clear fear. "Humans," Shrila whispered. "The legends are true. Every educated Zeltaran knew the stories. Humans, the violent, unpredictable species that had conquered their section of the galaxy in just a few hundred years. Old records warned of their strange mix of peaceful words and warlike actions. Some believed humans were just stories to frighten children. But now here they were. We must warn the Confederacy," Vexlor said, "and our allies." "Is it wise to spread panic?" asked Shrila. "If these are truly humans, preparing for the worst is our only option." Commander John Baker stood on the bridge of the U.S. Dauntless, looking at the star map with satisfaction. After 3 months in deep space, they had finally reached the edge of uncharted territory. New worlds to explore, possibly new civilizations to meet. "Sensor report, Lieutenant Miller," Baker said. Susan Miller looked up from her station. Her short blonde hair framed a face focused on the data before her. "We're picking up artificial signals, Commander. Definitely coming from an advanced civilization. And," she paused, "they seem to be tracking us." Baker nodded. As expected, no advanced species would let unknown ships approach without monitoring them. Captain Frank Rogers joined them at the map display. "First contact situation, John. Just like we trained for." "Indeed. Let's do this by the book. Lieutenant Miller, prepare first contact package for broadcast on all frequencies. Lieutenant Owen, maintain yellow alert status but keep weapons powered down. We're here to make friends, not start a war." Baker watched as his crew carried out their orders with practiced efficiency. They were the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, diplomats, and yes, soldiers too. The Dauntless led a fleet of 15 ships on this mission of peace and exploration, though they were well equipped to defend themselves if needed. "Commander," Miller called out suddenly, "I'm picking up new signals. Lots of them. Something's happening." The main screen changed to show dozens of small ships moving quickly. They were gathering at various points around the human fleet's projected path. "Are they preparing to welcome us?" asked Rogers. Miller shook her head, her expression serious. "Sir, I don't think it's a welcome party. I'm detecting weapon systems powering up. And," she paused, working to translate the flood of new communications. "Sir, they're broadcasting some kind of warning about us." Baker frowned. "What kind of warning?" "The same message, over and over to multiple star systems." Miller looked up, her face pale. "The message says, 'Danger ahead. A human fleet is approaching. The Zeltaran High Council chamber buzzed with worried voices. 12 council members sat in a circle under the light of 3 moons shining through the crystal dome above. Senior strategist Vexlor stood in the center, waiting for their attention. "Silence," called head counselor Drevmore. The room quieted. "Strategist Vexlor has confirmed the approaching fleet is human. We must decide our response now." Vexlor nodded. "The human vessels continue on their course toward our space. They have not responded to our warning signals." "Have they shown aggressive actions?" asked a young counselor. "Not yet," admitted Vexlor. "But humans are known for their tricks. They often claim peace while preparing for war." Counselor Shrila stood up. "I suggest we alert our allies immediately. The Pyrexians and Volturi should mobilize their defense fleets." The council quickly agreed. Within an hour, the message spread across 3 star systems. "Danger ahead. A human fleet is approaching." Ships from 6 different species began moving into defensive positions, creating a wall of vessels along the borders of Zeltaran space. Lieutenant Susan Miller rubbed her tired eyes. She had been monitoring alien communications for 8 straight hours. The universal translator was working overtime, processing the flood of signals. "Commander Baker," she called. "You need to see this." John Baker crossed the bridge of the U.S. Dauntless and looked at Miller's screen. "What am I looking at, Lieutenant?" "Sir, the aliens are mobilizing. These dots represent ships moving to form a blockade." Miller pointed to another screen. "And I've translated their primary broadcast. They're warning everyone about us." Baker frowned. "So much for a friendly welcome." He turned to Captain Rogers. "Your thoughts, Frank?" Rogers studied the tactical display. "They're scared, not aggressive. Look at their formation, purely defensive. Why would they fear us?" Baker wondered. "We've never had contact with this region before." Miller spoke up. "Sir, I think they know about humans, somehow. Their warnings specifically mention humans, not just unknown ships." Baker nodded slowly. "Send a message to Admiral Turner on the Intrepid. She needs to know what we're facing." Admiral Kate Turner read the report from the Dauntless with growing concern. The fleet's peaceful mission was turning complicated before they'd even made proper contact. She paced the command deck of the U.S. Intrepid, weighing her options. "Admiral," said her communications officer, "Commander Baker is requesting instructions." Turner stopped pacing. "Put him through." Baker's face appeared on the main screen. "Admiral, we have a developing situation. The local species appears to be spreading warnings about our arrival." "I've read your report, Commander." "Options. We could withdraw, show them we mean no harm by leaving." Turner shook her head. "No. Retreat might confirm their fears. We need to show our peaceful intentions through actions, not withdrawal." "What do you suggest, Admiral?" "Continue your approach, but at reduced speed. Power down all weapons systems, make it obvious on their scanners, and keep broadcasting our first contact message." Baker nodded. "And if they fire on us?" "Defensive measures only. No return fire without my direct order." Turner's face was serious. "Remember, Commander, we represent Earth. Let's show them humans aren't what they fear." "Yes, Admiral." Dauntless out. As the screen went dark, Turner turned to her second-in-command. "Prepare a diplomatic team. If this situation escalates, we'll need our best people ready." On the edge of Zeltaran space, a young intelligence officer named Mirazin stared at ancient records with growing excitement. The text on her screen was from the early days of space exploration, nearly forgotten in the deep archives. "This changes everything," she whispered. The records told a different story about humans than the legends. They spoke of courage, compassion, and honor, alongside the well-known human capacity for war. Mirazin rushed to copy the files. The High Council needed to see these before they made a terrible mistake. But as she hurried through the quiet archive halls, she heard the distant sound of alert sirens. She was too late. The first confrontation had begun. Mirazin rushed through the curved hallways of the Zeltaran command center, clutching her data tablet to her chest. Guards stepped aside as she approached the council chamber doors, recognizing her intelligence division uniform. "I must speak with the council," she told the guard. "It's urgent." The guard shook his head. "They're in emergency session. No interruptions. But I have information about the humans. Information that could prevent a mistake." Before the guard could respond, the doors slid open. Counselor Shrila stepped out, looking surprised to see Mirazin. "What is this about humans?" Shrila asked. Mirazin held up her tablet. "The archives, Counselor. The old records tell a different story about humans than what we believe. They aren't just warriors. They—" A loud alarm cut her off. Red lights flashed along the hallway. "Too late," Shrila said grimly. "The Pyrexian patrol has engaged the human scout ship." Lieutenant Peter Jones gripped the controls of Scout Ship 3 as another energy blast rocked the small vessel. Warning lights flashed across his console. "Scout Ship 3 to Dauntless," he called. "I have 3 alien vessels firing warning shots. Repeat, warning shots only. They're deliberately missing, but getting closer each time." Commander Baker's voice came through the comm. "Hold position, Lieutenant. Do not return fire. Repeat, do not return fire." "Understood, sir," Jones replied, though his finger hovered near the weapons controls. The alien ships, sleek, silver craft with blue energy fields surrounding them, fired again. This time, the blast passed within meters of his hull. Jones took a deep breath. If they wanted to destroy his ship, they could have done so already. This was a test. He moved his hand away from the weapons panel. "Scout Ship 3 to alien vessels," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We are on a peaceful mission. We mean no harm. Please cease fire and let us talk." The alien ships continued their threatening pattern, but did not fire again. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Commander Baker watched the standoff with growing tension. "Lieutenant Miller, any response to our broadcasts?" Susan Miller shook her head. "Nothing direct, sir, but I'm picking up a lot of chatter between their ships. They seem surprised." "Surprised about what?" "That we haven't fired back, sir." Baker nodded slowly. "They're testing us." "Lieutenant Owen, status of Scout Ship 3. Shields at 82%, sir. Minor damage to the sensor array. Lieutenant Jones is holding position as ordered." "Good man," Baker said. "Captain Rogers, prepare a message to the alien fleet. Let's try a different approach." On Earth, Director Alan Phillips of the Interstellar Diplomatic Corps read the urgent message from Admiral Turner with a deep frown. The situation was deteriorating faster than anyone had expected. "Get me Dr. Lisa Ward," he told his assistant. Immediately. 10 minutes later, Dr. Ward entered his office. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she wore the simple blue uniform of the science division. "You've read the reports?" Phillips asked. "Yes, sir. The Zeltaran Confederacy and their allies. They seem to have some historical knowledge of humans that's causing fear." Phillips nodded. "I need your team ready to launch in 3 hours. We're sending you on the Swift Messenger." Ward's eyes widened. "The experimental ship, is it ready for a mission this important?" "It's our only option. The main fleet is facing a standoff. We need your expertise in alien communication to resolve this before it becomes a war." Phillips handed her a datapad. "Your team is being assembled now. The ship will be ready when you are." Dr. Ward scanned the information. "This is a lot to put on my shoulders, sir." "I know. But you're our best chance. You've studied more alien languages and cultures than anyone in the Corps. If anyone can find common ground with these Zeltarans, it's you." She took a deep breath and nodded. "I'll do my best, sir. That's all I ask." Phillips looked out his window at the gleaming spires of New Washington. "Humanity's first contact with this region can't be a war, Lisa. Too much rides on making peace." "Understood, sir." I won't let you down." As Dr. Ward left to prepare for her mission, a message arrived from Admiral Turner. Situation escalating. Zeltaran fleet on intercept course. Time running out. The swift messenger cut through space like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Its experimental drive left a trail of blue-white energy as Dr. Lisa Ward watched stars blur past on the main screen. "How much longer?" she asked the pilot. 2 hours until we reached the Zeltaran border," he replied. The main fleet would take 2 days to cover the same distance. Lisa nodded and returned to her workstation. Her team of 6 specialists huddled around a central table, studying everything known about the Zeltaran species. "Their language uses tonal shifts to indicate emotional context," said Ben Harris, the linguistics expert, "similar to how we use voice inflection, but much more complex. And their society values harmony above all else," added Olivia Patel, the cultural specialist. "They fear conflict and unpredictability." Lisa processed this information. "So they fear humans because we're unpredictable by their standards." "Exactly," said Olivia. "To them, a species that makes art and music one day and wages war the next seems dangerous and unstable. Then we need to show them stability and peaceful intentions," Lisa decided. "Prepare a message that emphasizes harmony, predictability, and peaceful cooperation. Use their tonal language patterns if possible." As her team worked, Lisa stared at the stars rushing past. Everything depended on her finding the right words to reach across the gulf of misunderstanding. On the Zeltaran science vessel Harmony, scientist Trelvor monitored the unusual energy signature approaching their space. It didn't match any known ship design. "Captain," he called, "this vessel is moving faster than anything in our records. It will reach us in less than 2 hours." Captain Zelnar frowned. "Another human trick. Alert the defense fleet." "Wait," said Trelvor, studying his readings. "It's small, just 1 ship. And—" he paused, adjusting his instruments. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies." "What are they saying?" "Unknown. The message repeats, but our translators can't process it yet." Trelvor's antenna twitched with excitement. "It's like nothing we've encountered before. The structure suggests it's designed for maximum clarity across language barriers." "A weapon?" asked the captain. "No," Trelvor said firmly. It's a linguistics package. They're trying to help us understand them." He looked up at his captain. "They want to talk, not fight." The captain hesitated. "Forward the message to command, but maintain alert status." Trelvor turned back to his console. Against all regulations, he sent a simple response signal directly to the human ship. If they truly wanted to communicate, he would help. Commander Baker watched the tense standoff from the bridge of the Dauntless. 50 alien ships now faced his fleet of 15. Neither side had fired, but the situation couldn't last forever. "Commander," called Lieutenant Miller, "message from Admiral Turner." Turner's face appeared on screen. "Baker, Dr. Ward's ship will reach you in less than 2 hours. Until then, maintain position and avoid any aggressive actions." "Yes, Admiral, but the alien fleet continues to grow. If they attack—" "Defensive measures only," Turner reminded him. "We need time for the diplomats to work." After Turner's image faded, Miller spoke up. "Sir, I'm detecting a new signal. It's different from the others. Just 1 ship is transmitting directly to us." "What are they saying?" "It's not words exactly. More like mathematical sequences, basic communication protocols." Miller looked up with surprise. "Sir, I think one of them is trying to talk to us privately." Before Baker could respond, Captain Rogers stepped forward. "Commander, we should show good faith. I suggest powering down weapons systems completely. Make it obvious on their sensors." Baker thought for a moment, then nodded. "Do it, and send a message to our fleet to do the same. Let's show them we're serious about peace." Throughout the human fleet, weapon systems went offline. The energy signatures of their ships changed visibly on Zeltaran scanners. On the Zeltaran command ship, senior strategist Vexlor watched with confusion. "What are they doing?" he asked. "Are their systems failing?" A junior officer looked up from her station. "No, sir. They're deliberately powering down their weapons, all of them." For the first time since the humans appeared, Vexlor felt a flicker of doubt about the old warnings. Perhaps Mirazin's discovery deserved more attention after all. Dr. Lisa Ward's eyes widened as her communication panel lit up with an incoming signal. "We have a response." She called to her team. "Someone out there is talking back to us." The message was simple: basic mathematical sequences and binary code that matched the patterns they had sent. But it was enough to begin building a translation matrix. "It's working," said Ben Harris, as their computers processed the exchange. The language learning AI is building connections rapidly. Over the next hour, the Swift Messenger and the single Zeltaran ship exchanged increasingly complex messages. Words began to form among the numbers and symbols. "Peace," Lisa read from the latest translation. "They used a word that means peace or harmony." "And look," Olivia pointed. "They've sent coordinates. I think they're suggesting a meeting point." Lisa nodded. "Send a message to Admiral Turner and Commander Baker. We may have our first real contact." Scientist Trelver worked frantically at his station, hiding his unauthorized communications from the rest of the crew. The human ship responded to each of his messages with remarkable speed and clarity. Their translation computer was unlike anything in Zeltaran technology. Where his people would need days to build a working language model, these humans were doing it in hours. His communication panel displayed a new message: "Meeting requested. Neutral location. Small ships only. No weapons." Trelver hesitated. He had gone too far to stop now. He sent back coordinates for an abandoned space station at the edge of the neutral zone. Captain Zelnar approached his station. "What are you working on so intensely, scientist?" Trelvor's heart raced. "Analyzing the human communication patterns, Captain. Their main broadcast has changed. They've powered down all weapons and are requesting peaceful contact." The captain studied the data on Trelvor's screen. "This could be important. Forward your findings to command immediately." Trelver nodded, relieved that he wouldn't have to explain his direct communications. Yet, on the bridge of the Dauntless, Commander Baker read the report from Dr. Ward with growing hope. "They want to meet," he told his officers. "Dr. Ward suggests I take a small shuttle to these coordinates." Captain Rogers frowned. "Sir, it could be a trap." "It could be. But someone over there took a risk to respond to our messages. I need to honor that courage with some of my own." Baker turned to Lieutenant Miller. "Continue monitoring all communications. If anything changes in their fleet's posture, alert me immediately." Baker left the bridge to prepare for the meeting. In his quarters, he studied everything they had learned about Zeltaran culture and language. These few hours could decide the fate of two civilizations. The High Council of Zeltar argued loudly as Mirazin presented her discovered records. "These documents are from the early days of space exploration," she explained. "They tell of human encounters with the Vorlak species 200 years ago. The humans helped the Vorlak during a natural disaster, saving thousands of lives." "One good deed does not erase the danger," said Counselor Drevmore. "The legends warn." "The legends are wrong," Mirazin interrupted, "or at least incomplete. Yes, humans can be warriors, but they are also healers, explorers, and diplomats." Before the argument could continue, Senior Strategist Vexlor entered the chamber. "Counselors, we have new information. The humans have powered down all weapons systems, and a single human ship has established communication with one of our science vessels." Vexlor paused. "They are requesting a face-to-face meeting." The council chamber fell silent. "There's more," Vexlor continued. "Our sensors detect a small human shuttle departing from their main fleet. Just one human heading toward the old trading station at the border." Shrila stood up. "Who authorized this meeting?" No one, Counselor. It appears one of our scientists took initiative. Vexlor straightened his shoulders. I volunteer to meet this human. If it is a trap, better to lose one strategist than risk our entire society. The council murmured in surprise at his bravery. Drevmore spoke. Very well. Take a security team and meet this human. But be careful, strategist. Remember the warnings. As Vexlor left to prepare, Mirazin followed him into the hallway. The human is taking a great risk, she said quietly. Coming alone. Vexlor nodded. Yes. Perhaps there is more to humans than our legends tell. The abandoned space station hung in the darkness, a silent metal ring that once served as a trading post. Commander John Baker guided his small shuttle toward the docking bay, his hand steady on the controls despite his racing heart. Dauntless, this is Baker. I've reached the meeting point. Beginning docking procedures. We raid you, Commander, came Captain Rogers' voice. Be careful in there. Baker eased the shuttle into the docking bay and checked his equipment one last time. He wore his formal uniform with no weapons, carrying only a small translator device developed by Dr. Ward's team. Taking a deep breath, he opened the shuttle door and stepped onto the station. The air was thin but breathable. Emergency lights cast a pale blue glow along the curved corridors. Baker walked slowly toward the central chamber, where the meeting was arranged. Vexlor arrived with 2 security officers, their shuttle docking on the opposite side of the station. The old trading post brought back memories from his younger days, when he traveled as a merchant before joining the military. Stay alert, he told his guards. But remember, we are here to talk, not fight. They moved cautiously through the dimly lit halls. Vexlor carried a small communication device created by Trelvor, who had insisted on joining the mission. The young scientist followed behind, his eyes wide with excitement. The human should be waiting in the main hall, Trelvor whispered. As they approached the central chamber, Vexlor signaled his guards to wait outside. Despite their protests, he insisted on meeting the human alone first. Only Trelvor would accompany him. If this is a trap, Vexlor said, there is no point in all of us dying. The central chamber was a large, circular room with a transparent dome ceiling that revealed the stars above. Baker stood in the center, looking up at the unfamiliar constellations when he heard the door slide open. He turned to see 2 aliens enter. They had blue-tinted skin, large dark eyes, and small antennae that twitched slightly. One wore what appeared to be a military uniform, the other dressed in simpler clothes. Baker raised his empty hand slowly. I come in peace, he said, allowing the translator to convert his words. The older alien stepped forward. I am Senior Strategist Vexlor of the Zeltaran Confederacy. Why have humans entered our space? I am Commander John Baker of Earth's exploratory fleet. We are on a mission of peaceful exploration and first contact. Baker kept his voice calm and even. We did not know our approach would cause fear. The younger alien moved closer, ignoring Vexlor's warning gesture. I am Scientist Trelvor. How many worlds has Earth contacted? Baker smiled. 23 sentient species across 42 star systems, all peaceful contacts. Trelvor's antennae quivered with excitement. Yet our legends say humans are dangerous conquerors. All species have the capacity for both war and peace, Baker replied. Humans fought many wars in our past, among ourselves and occasionally with others. But we've learned that peace brings greater prosperity than conflict. Vexlor studied Baker carefully. If you come in peace, why bring a fleet of warships? They are exploration vessels with defensive capabilities. Space is dangerous. We protect our people, but we do not seek conflict. Baker reached slowly into his pocket and withdrew a small data device. This contains our history, art, music, and scientific knowledge. A gift from humanity to the Zeltaran people. Vexlor hesitated, then took the device. As he did, a violent tremor shook the station, throwing all 3 of them off balance. What treachery is this? Vexlor demanded, reaching for his communication device. "Not mine," Baker said, checking his own communicator. "Dauntless, report." Captain Rogers' voice came through filled with static. "Commander, we have a situation. A third fleet has entered the system. They're attacking both human and Zelteran ships without warning or communication." Vexilor's device crackled with a message in the Zelteran language. His face grew grim as he listened. "The Krovac Empire," he told Baker. "Our enemies for generations. They must have seen our fleets distracted by your arrival and decided to strike." Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. Warning lights flashed as the life support systems began to fail. "We need to get out of here," Baker said urgently. "This station can't take much more damage." Vexilor nodded, all suspicion forgotten in the face of immediate danger. "Agreed. But our ships are under attack. We may have nowhere to go." The space station shuddered as another explosion hit nearby. Commander Baker grabbed the wall to stay upright. "We need to work together," he told Vexilor. "My shuttle is still intact in Docking Bay 3. Vexilor nodded and spoke quickly into his communication device. His two guards rushed into the room, weapons ready. "This human is not our enemy today," Vexilor told them. "The Krovac are attacking both our fleets." Baker tapped his communicator. "Dauntless, what's the situation?" "Bad, Commander," Rogers replied. "The Krovac have 12 heavy warships. They're targeting both sides equally. The Zelteran ships are fighting back, but they're scattered and uncoordinated." Baker looked at Vexilor. "If we combine our forces, we might stand a chance." Trelvor stepped forward. "The Krovac have wanted our territories for generations. They must have seen our fleets facing off and thought we were too distracted to defend ourselves." Another blast rocked the station. The lights flickered and went out, leaving only emergency red lighting. "We need to go now," Baker said. "Can you contact your fleet from my shuttle?" "Yes," Vexilor replied. "Lead the way." They ran through the dark corridors, the station breaking apart around them. They'd reached the docking bay just as a section of the ceiling collapsed. Baker pulled Trelvor back just in time, saving him from being crushed. "Thank you," the young scientist said, his antennae quivering with fear and gratitude. They boarded Baker's shuttle quickly. As Baker prepared for launch, Vexilor used the communication system to contact the Zelteran fleet. "This is Senior Strategist Vexilor. The humans are not our enemies. I repeat, the humans are not our enemies. The Krovac are the true threat. Coordinate with the human vessels to defend our territories." Baker sent his own message to the human fleet. "All ships, this is Commander Baker. Coordinate attacks with the Zelteran vessels against the Krovac warships. Share tactical data and defensive positions." The shuttle launched just as the docking bay began to collapse. Baker piloted them away from the dying station, weaving through debris and weapons fire. "Look," Trelvor pointed out the viewport. In space around them, the human and Zelteran ships had begun to move together. The U.S. Dauntless and a large Zelteran cruiser fought side by side against a massive Krovac battleship. "Our tactics are different but complementary," Vexilor observed. "Your ships are more aggressive, ours more defensive." Baker nodded. "Together, we're stronger than either fleet alone." He guided the shuttle toward the Dauntless, dodging enemy fire with skill that impressed even Vexilor. As they approached the human flagship, Baker's console lit up with a new alert. "The swift messenger has arrived," he said with a smile. "Dr. Ward's ship." The experimental vessel shot into the battle at incredible speed, confusing the Krovac sensors. It moved between the human and Zelteran fleets, its advanced communication systems linking them together. "Look at that coordination," Trelvor said with wonder as the combined fleet began to move like a single unit. The tide of battle turned quickly. Unable to drive a wedge between the now united forces, the Krovac ships began to retreat. As the shuttle docked with the Dauntless, Baker, Vexilor, and Trelvor hurried to the bridge. Captain Rogers greeted them with relief. Commander, the Krovac are pulling back, and Admiral Turner is requesting to speak with both you and our Zelteran guests. On the main screen, Admiral Turner's face appeared next to the image of a Zelteran High Counselor. Commander Baker, Senior Strategist Vexlor, Turner said. It seems we found common ground in an unexpected way. The Zelteran Counselor nodded. Indeed, today's events have shown us that perhaps the old warnings about humans were incomplete. Vexlor stepped forward. Counselor, I suggest we change our alert message. From now on, when human ships approach, it should be a message of friendship, not fear. Trelvor smiled. Perhaps it should say, good news, a human fleet is approaching. As the representatives of both species began to discuss formal alliance terms, Baker looked out at the stars. The universe was vast and often dangerous, but today had proven that different species could find unity even in the darkest times. A new chapter in human-Zelteran relations had begun, and somewhere in the galaxy, word was already spreading. Beware not the humans, but those who make enemies of them, and their allies.